What do you say there, my legions of the undead? Happy spooky season to all. I made the promise back in April, and I'm here to deliver in October. This video will be my breakdown of what makes the classic Night of the Living Dead an overall perfect horror film.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Now, this isn't to say it's my personal favorite horror film, and while I do call it perfect, there are obviously plenty of technical factors that could have been handled better.
This place is boarded up pretty solid now.
You liar!
But what I mean is that the final effect the movie has should be able to fulfill the cravings of almost any lover of the genre. Also, this won't be a review in traditional terms. It's more a breakdown of horror in film and how all the essential elements are contained in George Romero's original zombie feature. It's been said that Night of the Living Dead is the transitory piece, connecting the classic age of horror to the modern age. But I think it's so much more than that, and that it truly goes a lot deeper, connecting not only the ages, but the different styles of horror too. But to start off, let's take that little dive into the eras of the genre and see how they're represented here. In my video talking all about silent movies, you'll remember I paid respect to the chillers of the time, especially the German expressionist films Nosferatu and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. These movies were so effective because of how slow and methodical they were. Count Orlok slowly creeping up on his unconscious victim, and Caesar the Somnambulist guiding his body across the distorted landscape. Well, I don't know about you, but I look at the zombies lumbering in and out of the shadows of the trees, and I can't help but get that same creepy sensation. Just that same sort of eerie quietness. From the silent era, we then take a look at the golden era. Shades of the classic monsters are clearly seen in the movie. When we see Ben use fire to ward off the horde of flesh eaters, how could we not think of the Frankenstein monster and his sphere of fire?
Fire, no good. No!
I also think this is a great time to shout out the film's score. There was a lot of stock music used, but the track that really sticks out in my mind is The Final Advance by George Romero. I can't say exactly what it is, but something about it feels reminiscent of the score from The Wolfman. Man, I gotta say, I love modern horror, but I feel like exciting, full orchestra music is something we're really missing out on nowadays. I mean, tell me this just doesn't feel right. Or how about this? Wait a minute, now that I listen to it again, where have I heard that music before? I know I've heard it way before I ever watched Night of the Living Dead, but where?
He slowly approaches the counter.
Holy crap, SpongeBob! Okay, weird side tangent, but someone working on early SpongeBob must have been a classic horror fan. The episode Graveyard Shift includes both that music and an appearance by Count Orlok. No wonder I turned out the way I am. Okay, back to Night of the Living Dead. So the movie is obviously influenced by the classics of the past, but we can also see how it's a product of its own time. Much of the Silver Age of horror was based around science fiction, space invaders, experiments gone wrong, and the like. And while Night of the Living Dead has its foot set firmly in the realm of ghastly, ghoulish horror, the cause of the zombie outbreak is revealed to be radiation emanated from a destroyed space satellite. So there is a crucial scientific element. Alrighty, I've talked about films of the past influencing Romero's work, but let's now take a look at the influence his movie had on the future of the genre. Most obvious would have to be the gruesome violence on display. I mean, this is 1968 and we've got zombies eating people's organs and a nasty stabbing scene. These were the precursors that led to the slasher boom of the 80s and the splatter flicks after that. To get even more specific, not only did George Romero bolster his own career with his Dead franchise, he essentially launched the zombie and the apocalyptic survivalist genre as we know it. I don't think it's a stretch to say without Night of the Living Dead, we wouldn't have A Quiet Place. Sure, The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price came out 4 years earlier, but Night is where the concept really blew up. Beyond that, we're now in an era of horror movies making a lot of social commentary. And while it is a quick line, I feel like we can't overlook the character of Ben saying this line to Mr. Cooper.
Now, get the hell down in the cellar. You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
For a black man to say such a line to a white man in 1968 is not insignificant. However, apparently this was just a happy accident and wasn't even on Romero's mind when he wrote the script. Dwayne Jones just happened to be the best actor who auditioned for the role of Ben. but it gave audiences some food for thought and made for one of the great performances of horror history. And really, Jones isn't the only cast member of note. What I really like about the movie is the character study of these 6 people trapped in the house, seeing them argue out their points and what decisions they make. It's one of those movies you can really put yourself into and try to figure out what you would do. Now to my final point of the movie's legacy. While it's clearly influenced by films of the past and helped introduce the splatter flicks, I also want to touch on the different types of scares and fear we get here. I mentioned the eeriness of the zombies walking slowly in the shadows, but here's another really creepy moment. It is pretty pointless, not really having an impact on the plot, but something about Barbara standing there with that music box playing gives me the heebie-jeebies. And of course, you gotta get your mandatory jump scare in. You like exciting fights with the monster? You're covered. Gruesome bloody violence? Covered. So all in all, I would have to argue that Night of the Living Dead is a perfect horror film, not because there are no flaws to it or because it tells a perfect story, but because it contains everything you could possibly want, no matter what era or style of horror you enjoy. It's a transitory film, connecting the generations, but so much more and so worth your time. Give it a watch, and in just one sitting, enjoy all that the horror genre has to offer. I've been Kenny Steps. Take it easy, and keep stepping into the movies.